This is Kyle Smith with Hagerty, and we're here in my home garage, and today I'm going to cannibalize parts off of this running, driving 1965 Chevrolet Corvair in the hopes of getting its original engine out of the corner of my garage and maybe running. So this engine here actually isn't that bad considering it's missing a bunch of stuff. So if we look here on the back, that's the hole for the starter. So I'm going to need to find a starter on there. It does not have a transmission hung off of it, but it doesn't need it to run. I'm going to have to figure out a block off for these carburetors. This carburetor is junk, so it's gonna go over there on the workbench. I'm going to steal the pair of primary carburetors off of this engine and the starter that is back up underneath the car over there. And then probably a few other bits and pieces off of that are going to come over here to see if we can make this run. The nice part is I know it turns, so it freely rotates. Got no issues there. So with the air cleaners off, you can kind of understand the throttle linkage better. And this is an aftermarket throttle linkage for the Corvair, but it operates essentially the same as the factory linkage. So with this one, you can see it's just the primary carburetors opening up. So it opens, and then you can see the secondary kick up there at just that last little bit. Just a standard progressive linkage. What I'm gonna do is disconnect these secondaries here, and I'm gonna pull this entire linkage and transfer it to the other engine completely. I'm gonna start with the fuel lines though. And if you're gonna do this, make sure you get an actual flare nut wrench. These are so nice for not rounding these off. I've had to put new lines on these before. And to get the carburetor actually off of the engine, I use a trusty T-handle. And the reason that I use one of these T-handles is because it does not take a whole lot of torque to get these loose. And people tend to over-tighten these single barrel Rochesters on these engines because you really want to put a ton of torque on these nuts, and they don't need it. You can actually deform the carb tops if you're not careful. One of my favorite tips is these little aerosol caps. So these come on brake clean or some paints and whatnot, and they just fit ever so perfectly, so I won't drop anything in the engine. So I bring it here under the car with me, and there you can see the starter up top. So I'm gonna have to remove the connections over there and then the lower bolts to get that out completely. And I did go ahead and I've already disconnected the battery, which is important in this instance, so I don't electrocute myself. I'm gonna go ahead and stick the starter on our test stand of sorts. I'm gonna go ahead and move these carburetor studs because I need them to be the two primaries and these are the two secondaries. So this one's good, I can work with that, but these ones need to move over here. And for that, I'm gonna use a simple technique. Put two nuts on there, lock them against each other, and use that to hopefully pull this stud out. Just put that in the next carb pad over and use those same nuts to tighten it on. It is a new set of spark plugs, and then I've plugged off the secondaries with just some handy plastic caps that I had hanging around. Hopefully those hold up. We'll see. It's not going to run for long if it runs at all, simply because there is no cooling air So if it starts, it's going to run for a minute and probably not much longer. But got a quick battery set up back here, connecting to here. This is my jumper wire for the solenoid. And then I have a simple power wire going back to the battery to power the ignition. I'm going to leave my ignition off and just see if it cranks, maybe what it sounds like when it does crank. So let's see here what happens. It's got compression, as I've got some gas in a little bottle here. I'm gonna fill the carburetors through the float vents. And let's try turning the ignition on. Just so I put fuel in the carbs, I connected the ignition while I was cranking it, and what's happening is it's blowing the cap that I had out of the runner over here for the number 1 cylinder, which isn't all that surprising. When I bought this engine, the previous owner included it with my 65 Corvair, and he said it had a dropped valve seat. And he didn't say which cylinder or what was going on, but it is making me wonder if that's what's popping this off, is there is no intake valve seat somewhere over here. So I'm going to, let's try putting a better cap on this and see if we can get something to happen. All right, now that has a nice thick burst plate. So I put a stud in there and stacked some washers up because the threads weren't far enough down. Just use a bolt over here. So that's secured off, which is really just gonna make it backfire up through the carburetor, going that way, but I think maybe it'll still run. So for that, I'm just gonna take the distributor cap off. This is my number 1 cylinder up top. So I'm actually pretty close to number 1. To number 1 firing. So I'll just give it a nudge. Not quite yet. Timing mark's nowhere to be found. So we may be really advanced. Let's take the plug out. I kind of want to know where the cylinder is in its stroke. That might be on the compression stroke. But I do not like what I see in there. Some heavy piston damage. All right, so I've been at it an hour, and I just checked the timing. It's actually pretty close in terms of static timing, and it's not spinning fast enough to throw the advance. The vacuum advance is not hooked up. I have no vacuum leaks. I'm getting spark because it tried to fire a couple times, especially on starting fluid. The plugs are new. It's cranking good and strong. I think I've got bigger problems inside the combustion chamber because the aluminum piston that's in there has a lot of marking on it and a lot of bad news. And combine that with the knocking noise that started happening over here, and I think I've got an engine that needs love before it will run, or at least run without destroying itself. So I'm gonna pull this valve cover and let's see what's underneath it, because I at least want to do that before I let you guys go. So yeah, let's pull that off. 7/16 bolts. So I thought this intake rocker was going to be most likely tight. Let's see, that one's not in the best of shape. Let's crank it over just a touch. Let's see. So there, it's tight again. So that one's loose. That one's pretty loose too. All right, this is the part where I admit defeat
and I wrap up this video. That's right, I'm giving up on starting this one, and I feel like I failed you. I know. And I think we could get this to start. I'm not saying we couldn't. I think we could, but I think based on what I'm seeing and hearing and the history that I've been told of this engine, I'm piecing together that getting this to start is probably a bad idea. And I don't necessarily want to rebuild it right away. And so that's the key here, is I'm not trying to destroy something. I'm trying to see if it's good. And we actually learned a lot from trying to start it. We know it turns over all right. There's no weird restrictions or anything inside. And with taking off a couple inspection covers, I think we're going to get an even better picture of that. I really wanted this to start. I hope that shows right now. I really did want this to run. But the damage to the top of that piston, the loose valve train on that side, the knock that is now generating from over here is just not good news. So the second most popular thing you guys wanted to see was taking this apart and comparing it to some of the other Chevrolet engines of the era and what makes this so unique beyond just the obvious stuff. And so I'm going to dive into that. I've been into these engines a few times. I'm going to have to do some research. I'm also going to likely have a guest for that one. And of course, the biggest thing, I'm going to get this off of the floor. It's so hard to film on the floor. But if you want to see that, you're going to have to subscribe down below and wait a few weeks, because I've got some other work to do. You can see I've got projects behind me to get started on. You've probably got projects to go work on as well. Go work on those, and I'll see you next week back here in Kyle's garage.